is the Rangers Journal Night.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this post-match reaction to Rangers' disappointing start to the Premier League campaign with as I show on the screen here, a 1-1 draw with Motherwell. With me to try and make sense of all this and try and polish this as best we can is Mitch. Mitch, how are you feeling after that?
In between, mate. It's not the best, not the worst. And I think it's very easy for us all to get caught up in the heat of the moment and be incredibly reactionary. So anybody in the comments that thinks that that's what this is going to be about, it's not. It's going to be about putting a balanced view in the overall performance. And that doesn't mean the team's immune from criticism, but it also means that we have to remember there's still 37 other games to play.
Well, this is it, and they say like the team isn't obviously immune to criticism. And there's, if you look at the comments, and then obviously you'll see online as well as the night goes on, there'll be plenty of criticism thrown probably around the team selection, the manager, the style of play. I think everything at this point is going to be questions, but putting our level-headedness on here, I think we need to sort of realise that this team is in transition in terms of a playing style, and Motherwell had the same transition as well. You can see that it's a new manager. From my perspective, I think both teams were trying to play the exact same brand of football. I think, as we'll touch on it later on, I think Motherwell just seemed to get the better sort of moments from out of their style of football. I just don't think we did well enough in that in the final third in terms of transitions and stuff and the way the play went. We'll go then to the we'll jump to the starting lineup then. So we went with Butland, Arns started at left back once again. Suter, Giga, who I thought was solid today. Tavernier, Raskin, Rothwell, Diamande, Gassama, who started, which I was good to see. Danilo, and then I say those who should not be named, but obviously Dial. Were you surprised with the lineup, or was it kind of what you expected?
Based on what we've seen the last two games, obviously, and again, we can only really preset it against the European games as competitive ones. Not massively surprised, and also given that Russell Martin had mentioned, obviously, yesterday in the press conference that Aarons was going to be left back as a short-term solution.
Yeah.
But I do think, we'll talk, we'll just kind of heed the fart in the room early doors of that. We'll get it out of the way. And we'll just, I think we can all agree between everybody in the comments and between ourselves, certainly not a great day at the office for him.
No.
And I think he showed that he certainly got quality about him as a player, maybe at a championship or a League One level down south, but he's not got that athleticism to play within the parameters of how we're going to play.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think again, he showed in the game moments in the game, right? There was glimpses of what he can do and what he can provide, and there was a moment there where he had a great, his feet is good. He has good, quick, technical feet when he wants to. But I think, like you say, overall, I think it's just a disappointing performance, and he's probably out of everybody in this, the starting lineup in the game today. He's going to be the whipping boy for the fans. He's an easy target, isn't he? Because he's still getting game time ahead of people, arguably, who's been brought in to play that position. We've paid big money for, and he's still starting ahead of them. Obviously, Russell Martin has seen that Doyle day in, day out, something we don't see. So we've got to, you obviously have to put the trust in the manager for constantly picking him. But surely he can see that it's just not working.
I think, to put a positive on it, obviously the chat prior to the game was the bid for Ant-Man's been accepted for £3 million, who is a natural right winger. And I think, in all honesty, Kieran Dowell, when you watched him at Birmingham last season, he was playing centrally in centre midfield. And it is maybe a touch of too many square pegs and round holes at the moment, and it's just how how the outgoings to the transfer window have been versus the incomings, and obviously we've got players like Asgard, for example, who's going to be a little bit behind, obviously with the knock that he's carried, and we've also got the likes of Agamani, obviously still to come back into the team, obviously future dependent. That starting 11 for me probably isn't the best 11. It's just the most fit 11 of those who are available just now.
I agree with you, Mitch, and that'll not be the starting 11 going forward because we've still got players to come in this transfer window, as which we were highlighted today, and we covered yesterday with your pod and on your man Atman. That seems to be the ball's moving forward on that, so he's going to be taking up that mantle, going forward. So I don't think it's something the fans need to worry too much about. He's not going to be starting every game,
That's it, mate. So we'll approach obviously the opening 10, 15 minutes, and we'll dissect it quarter by quarter, shall we?
Right. Okay. I thought we started well. I thought there was Raskin and Gassama in that first 10, 15 minutes. I thought were great. They were linking up, and Gassama was leaving boys for pace. His pace was ridiculous, and there was a couple of through balls he had, and he looked a real threat down that left hand side. He was causing Motherwell all sorts of problems.
That's it. Gassama's definitely, you can see he's got a huge engine on him, and that huge. He runs like a Ferrari. He's getting driven by a top class driver. He's quite clearly a special talent, and I do think probably the excerpts of Wednesday night as well probably caught up with the team a wee bit as well, of arriving quite late back in Thursday morning, and I think there's a lot to factor in. Obviously, they played in 34-degree heat out in Greece the other night, very very early on in the season. You'd expect the team to be from a fitness perspective ready to do that come kind of early September once you've got a few games under your belt.
Yeah.
But that, as you say, that opening 15 minutes were really commanding. We put a marker down on the game. Choked Motherwell out the game. The possession stats showed that, and I actually thought we moved the ball really well as a team as well. With a few exceptions, I think. I think for me, Rothwell probably could have done a bit more today as well. And I get that we're about to come on to his delivery, obviously from the cross for the first goal, but I feel his contribution in open play could have been better. The delivery, his delivery out, from the cross there was absolutely cracking. Obviously, which Tav gets up there like a leaping salmon to and gets his head right on the end of it. And it's nice to see. I think it was quite nice to see a mix up and a change of delivery as well. From corners and from set pieces, to see other people not called Tav that we've seen for 10 years. And it does sometimes take a bit of time for things like that to work out. And I think as the first half progressed, for me, Danilo's not quite the right fit for this system.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt there's no doubt that, before the comments start going, you're pointing the finger at everybody, everybody and anybody. Danilo is a great predatory striker, I think. He's the striker that is the fox in the box. You give him it in the edge of the box and he'll do something with it. In this system that Russell Martin wants to play, you have to be willing to sometimes go to the ball, make yourself an option, and be kind of almost selfless with the ball rather than selfish with the ball. You're going to have to just roll your socks up, and again, not to pick on Danilo, but it's the third competitive game of the season, the third game that he started of the season.
Yeah.
3 games without a goal and not much in the way of a contribution. I mean, don't get me wrong, he did get a nice shot off, about 20, 25 minutes in where he hit the top of the bar. But I think there's something within the midfield 3 for me that's not quite clicking at the moment, and I don't know if it's, for me, my vision for the midfield 3 is the bodies are right for it, but I think where people are playing aren't quite right. I would put Raskin in at the 6, and I would put Rothwell in where Raskin is in the 8 and leave Dio in the 8. But I would also put Dio back out on the left of the 8, be the left-hand side 8, and put Rothwell on the right-hand side.
Well, that's it. It's a problem that I think that obviously Russell Martin's going to have to fix, because, like you say, I think the ingredients that's there, they're just not, like you say, they're just not clicking together yet. And this again, this new system that we're deploying, and you can see it across the back line as well. The sort of passing that we're playing, and the balls across the goal that we're asking our players to do, and Russell and Martin is, content in doing that, because Motherwell were doing it the same as well, and they had a couple of nervy moments. It just seemed to be that any nervy moments we had, Motherwell looked more threatening than us, and that was across the whole game. I thought, not just first half, or more so in the second half, where again it was the same. And I think the Panathinaikos games, where we just invited it onto ourselves, and it was just it was a difficult watch. And I think this is where all this anxiety and the comments is coming from, really, isn't it?
I think for me, looking at it as a whole, looking at it over the course of the 90 minutes, there's imbalance across two sides to the team.
Yeah.
We've got a right back playing at left back, and then we've got essentially a central midfielder playing in the right wing. So when you've got two parts in the back two thirds of the team, kind of imbalanced, it means that other parts of the team are having to work probably harder than what they should. I mean, even when Bajrami was introduced, we've seen a bit more quality coming from Bajrami, and we've seen more quality coming down that right hand side, and I think that quality is probably afforded from a player who is naturally two-footed.
Yeah.
And again, it's not any fault of Dowell's, but I do think when the manager was going through the substitutes, even when you're looking at it on 75 minutes or 80 minutes to go, I'd have left Gassama where he was, and I would have actually hooked Dowell and put Cortez on for Dowell at that point. And when, at the very least, at that point, we have a winger playing as a winger. A winger should be able to play off both feet anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Jim, just for clarification, I'm saying I know exactly where the anxiety is coming from, because there was one point the ball got passed across the 6 yard box by Butland, and Butland wasn't in his net. Butland was one passing the ball across the 6 yard box with an open net. I just think that this playing out from the back, and this risky style of football is just something we all have to get used to, because it's all we've seen as pre-season went on. We've done it in the Champions League games, and now we're doing it in the league. This is it. This is a brand of football, and I think it's just going to take the right players to come in to be able to implement it. And we're still running with players for last season that are adjusting to this. And I think it's just, we just need to give it time, because it's so early days. It's so early days. You've seen it in flashes in the first half. Whenever we broke and we were zipping the ball, one pass going from triangle to triangle, and then it was through. It worked, and you could see it worked, and it looked great on the eye. But we didn't do that enough. We didn't see it enough in this game, I think. But you could see the potential from what the team was able to deliver that. We just didn't really use it in a productive way in terms of challenging the goalkeeper, because their goalkeeper had an easy shift.
I think as well, it's worth remembering there's 37 more to go. It's not the greatest of starts, and we've probably used one of our 9 lives today. What we need to do is, for the next 4, 5 domestic games, cut the nonsense out at the back. Everybody defends as a unit. None of this airy-fairy, tippy-tappy. If you've got 2 opposition players on your defence, don't play it to the centre back that's literally 3 foot in front of you.
Yeah.
If there's not an out ball from either your fullbacks, then put it into the middle. Right now, with where the team is in terms of the learning curve, I don't want to see us playing. It's going to sound stupid, but I don't want to see too much kamikaze at the back right now. And it's that kind of all thriller, no filler. Sometimes a bit of filler's fine in there, and sometimes in the domestic level here, sometimes you just need to put that filler in where you say, do you know what? Clear the ball up the park, reset your lines, and then go back to putting the chokehold on the game that we had right up until about, I would have said, for the opening 70 minutes, we were in control. and then after that, just seemed to fall apart. Motherwell grew into the game. They made some good substitutes. They looked very well. They looked very well coached and well drilled in what they were doing. But I think there was just a bit more. There was something lacking, and I don't know if that was maybe keeping too many players in the park that shouldn't have still been on the park. And I will say credit to Motherwell for the equaliser that they scored. I will say credit to them. There's an opportunity that presents itself. Their man takes, it gets maybe a fortunate rebound off the shot line. Great, fine, does well for him. But their player had one chance, bang, in the net, done it. And I think, you know, as I say, we've probably used one of the 9 lives today, and we need, as a team, we need to be getting ourselves, get the house in order. There's plenty of time left in the window. There's obviously some incomings coming, but I think now as well, Russell Martin now 3 competitive games in is going to have. He should at least have at least a good idea of the character of some of the players who are still here that maybe don't have that character, to stay here beyond the end of the summer. Because if you're not going to adapt to the current style that we've got right now, and if you're maybe not capable of doing it, then that's fine. Go elsewhere and go and play in a system that does allow you to be your best self. But if you can't be your best self within the current realms of the team, then sorry, there's no future for you here. I will say another wee, and again, it's a wee bright spark to the game. Lyle Cameron made a really good impression of himself as well when he came on.
Yeah.
He was busy, he was energetic, and there were points, I think, in that last 20 minutes where when the likes of Cortez came on, when Cameron came on, and a couple others came on, it started looking more like a team that hadn't played a lot together than a team that had played a lot of minutes together.
Yeah.
They're maybe not the instinctive relationships that you would expect of where you see Diamande and Raskin, for example, both tend to know where the other one's going to be on instinct. And I think it's going to take another few games of some of these players getting in the team, and making a good account of themselves and saying, well, do you know what, we're here, we're ready, let's go. But it's a draw, it's not a defeat. And again, one of the 9 lives have been used. I know it feels like a kick in the stones for most of us because we've had the elation of, the Champions League qualifiers. We've had, some great names and some great, all the chat about incomings. But again, it's only game 3 of Russell Martin's competitive tenure. Not every problem's going to be fixed inside 3 games, and not every problem's going to be fixed inside 5 weeks of the window being open.
Yeah, that's it, Mitch. I think he has said that. He has talked about incomings and having discussions with players that needed to have the discussions and basically tell them that hard discussions, as he said in the press conference yesterday, difficult discussions. We'll circle back then to the end of the first half. Then we're 1-0 up. Butland's had to make another good save to keep it at 1-0 at half time. What were your thoughts at half time then? Were you confident or were you nervy? Because I know for me, I was like, right, okay, we look okay. If Butland's been called into action, I thought he probably won't change things. I think he'll do the halftime rocket, which is basically what we've been used to seeing every Rangers team over the last couple of years get as a halftime rocket, and they always seem to come out the second half and start well. I just didn't think we've seen that the start of the second half. I think Motherwell came out and they had the onus was on them, and they grew into the game, whereas we didn't.
I think for myself, come the end of the first half, I was relaxed, but I was a wee bit like I would have liked the second goal to have came, put it in at the end of the second half, kill the game off before half time. And any lingering confidence that Motherwell have at that point, and I think that's maybe the crux of where I'm going. Is I think the team, as a team, we lack that killer bite. Yeah. We seem to get one goal up, and psychologically we go, "That's cool."
Yeah.
And you're like, nah, like get 1 up, get 2 up, polish off. When was the last time we went into a game 2-0 up at half time domestically? Go in 2-0 up, think to yourself, well, the job's pretty much done. You've punched the fight out of them. Let's keep some of the first team players on for the first 15 minutes of the second, ride out the inevitable, kind of second coming wave that comes, as we all know. And then on that hour mark, you say to yourself, right, take Max Aarons off, put Jeffy in there, and say left back in a left back berth.
Yeah.
Joe, something in the midfield three's not working. Okay, cool. We're going to take one or two of them out of there, and then we're going to put in Connor Barron. We're going to put in Lyle Cameron like we did. The right wing problem of Kieran Dowell. If it's not working down that channel, what's that quote there about? The most. What's that thing about? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results is the first sign of madness. If it's not working with Kieran Dowell down the right, take him off. And I think in a way, Russell Martin has to then take today on the chin and say, well, the last two games against Olympiacos, he wasn't overly effective. And as you say, there were moments with him of genuine quality where he gets himself in the right position, but maybe the final pass to, and I think to that moment in the first half where Danilo went off on the overlap.
Yeah.
And you're like, if Dowell plays that even a half second quicker, Danilo, I'm not saying he's going to score, but he at least gets himself an opportunity to get a shot off. And at that point, if you get a shot off and the keeper flaps at it, at that point, if memory serves me right there was three of them. There was Dowell, Danilo, and I want to say it was potentially Diamandi in the box at that point. If the keeper gets a hand to that and spills it, you've got three of you there that somebody at the very least gets a shout at it.
Yeah.
But I think if I'm Russell Martin, lessons are learned today about what players you can trust, what players you can't, what players can play the system, and what players can't. But again, I don't think all of it comes down to the players are stupid or not fit for purpose or anything like that. I think it also comes down to there are players getting used to a different way of playing, and there has been a lot of players in, that way, and there's been a lot of players come in, so they're still building relationships with each other. They're still figuring out, that instinctive play that we spoke about of if I'm playing in the Joe Rothwell role, I should know where Jock Raskin's playing in the pitch. I should know on instinct where I expect you to be at that moment. They've only had 3 competitive games to build that relationship, and they've not had a chance to. But I think, everybody going mental and shouting about Russell Martin out and he's got it all wrong, yada yada. It's 3 games in. But again, we have used one of our 9 lives.
I think it's 3 games in, but I also think that the pre-season games, we didn't play many pre-season games against good quality opposition where it was the same team. It was a continuity in pre-season. You didn't see that because pre-season games were all bare bones from some games, and then a lot of changes and stuff. And like you say, so there's not been that many games. I think usually we expect to play probably another 2 or 3 games in pre-season, but we didn't. He wanted time on the training pitch with them, so I think that sits with him in that regard. That's obviously what he wanted.
I think as well, though, the issue I think with pre-season, and please somebody feel free to correct me as well. The issue with pre-season was I think so much of it was preset before Russell Martin came in. There's only so many teams that you can fit into a British-based training camp.
Yeah.
And I think this is also kind of goes back to the issues of the managerial appointment taking so long to actually happen. Had we maybe had that tied up with a game or 2 left at the end of last season, there's a chance then to say, look, let's grab another, even if it's an away friendly, let's get another friendly booked in competitively in a stadium to see what these guys are about. And I think Russell Martin also had to do what every new manager's got to do. He's got to give every single player who are contracted within the team, he's got to give them a chance to say, right, stake your claim and show me what you've got. And I think that the staggered obviously with international players coming back a bit later. Again, Dessa's coming back a bit later as well. It's not exactly ideal, but not a lot that Ross Martin can do about that either. But I think again we need to see some improvements and fairly quickly.
I think we'll see that. To be fair, I think we will see that. I think there'll be more coming in as we say. But we touched on the Ant-Man thing being pretty much done. The signs of it. There's a deal agreed between the two clubs. We did a pod last night on that, covering that. It's on the YouTube channel if you want to go and take a look at it. Interesting a player, shall we say, top assist in the Eredivisie last year, which is no mean feat for a player that doesn't play for Ajax or Feyenoord or PSV, plays for one of the smaller teams. And that's
very tidy player.
Yeah, something to look forward to on the right hand side. As the second half then went on, we just kept going through the motions. Motherwell grew into the game, chance after chance they were getting into dangerous positions somewhere where we weren't getting, and then the substitutions start coming. Like you say, we brought in Lyle Cameron and he brought in Dessers. Dessers, I think, straight away started linking up quite well, which is what we wanted, that experience, something Danilo wasn't really able to do in the first half. And Lyle Cameron come on straight away, energy, when he got booked inside like 20 seconds or something, because he came on and he just put his heart and soul into everything. And then Cortez comes on, Bajrami comes on as well. You've seen what Bajrami can offer. Like you say, he was down that right hand side and he put a great ball across the box. It was good defending from the Motherwell's perspective, because it's one of those ones where if you touch that wrong, it could go in the net, it could go anywhere. We huffed and puffed, but ultimately they got the goal. Like you say, I think credit to Motherwell. The move could have broke down or somebody could have switched off, but the guy was alive to what happened and scored. They could have scored that in the first half whenever Butland made the save. I thought their centre forward probably should have scored that. It wasn't. He was flat footed and didn't react to it, whereas thankfully Suter did. It's.
I think interestingly for myself, and again, I don't like being the one that makes the comment because people are going to say you've got your Dessers tinted sunglasses on for it. But I do think Dessers showed in his half hour, roughly, on the pitch, that right now, given the current options that we have, which right now are either Danilo or Dessers, I think Dessers probably showed for me that he brings that athletic physicality to the team that Danilo maybe doesn't. I would make, if Agamani was fit, I would maybe like to see the two of them playing up top together. And I'm certainly not going back to a Sam Allardyce little and large, scenario. But I think Danilo's probably the better finisher of the two of them, naturally. But I think Dessers is probably the busier of the two of them. He'll put himself in good positions. He'll drop a little bit further back, and he'll make a general nuisance of himself. And he'll draw centre backs in. At that point, if maybe Danilo was playing off him, you say, well, let Dessers go and draw the foul out the centre back, but then Danilo should be right behind him then to go and scoop the ball, the second ball essentially, and give himself a scoring chance. But I think it's like everything, mate. We can only roll with what we've got right now, and I think it's not a defeat, it's a draw. One of the 9 lives have been used for the season, but fingers need to be pulled out relatively quickly.
Yeah, I think Martin, obviously when he was announced, I said that he was probably starting 2-0 down, not 1-0 down. He's potentially 3-0 down now, but that's just that's probably going to be the general consensus, because I say fans are raging because they were expecting something different. It's not worked that way today. I think that this team has got a lot more to show. We still haven't seen, as Blue Jay says, we haven't seen Asgard yet. That's something I'm really looking forward to see, because this guy's highly rated. We've got this young kid in for Spurs as well, who's going to offer
young Mikey Moore.
going to offer something different up front as well. There's still a lot of changes to this team to come, so don't be worrying about Doyle being in the start lineup because he's not going to be there for the foreseeable future. That's for sure. So we can say that. I think it's yes, granted we don't want to be starting the season already with a point. We should be sitting here with 3. That's what every Rangers fan wants. I think it's always going to be a difficult ask.
I think as well, what's worth noting to people in the comments, because I can see, me and you aren't blind. We've got a pair of working eyes. For some of the people out there that seem to be taking some pop shots at yourself and I go, you're trying to basically polish a turd. At the end of the day, it's easy to sit here and say the team have done absolutely hoaching and everything was terrible and let's get the tin hats on and get into the bomb shelter at the back. That's not what we're about at the Journal. We're trying to be a bit more balanced about it of, yes, it's not fantastic to be sitting here with a draw on the opening day of the season, but equally, if you look at the wider picture, there are more players to come into the team, more players to come out the squad. This is not the finished article by any way, shape, or form. And if you want a disaster, if you want a disaster pod to go and listen to post match, this is not going to be the one for you because it's too easy to stick the boot in, but it's harder to be a bit more measured and a bit more balanced on things when you go. There's a framework there that we've seen in the opening half of that is how this team should be playing going forward.
Yeah.
Jigga at the back looks a great solid unit. Butland looks to have found a bit of form again. We're still scrabbling about in the wing at the moment, I think, on the right hand side in particular let's get an actual right winger fit that doesn't become a conversation. We know that Max Aarons is not going to be the left back going forward. Martin said it so himself yesterday. I think we just have to. The next couple of games, there might be an element of rolling with the punches. And again, you and I have delivered a fairly balanced post match on it. There's not so much extra that we can kind of say on the game, but we see you in the comments. But don't think that it doesn't mean that we don't necessarily always agree. But equally, we're going to give a bit more of a balanced view rather than just punching players that are just in the door. Because as a fan base, we've done that to too many players over the years, season after season. And I'm certainly not going to sit here and turn around and say, for example, a young 21-year-old winger, Gassama, could have done more today after he has a perfect 2-2 record coming into today. Like, there's an element of, as a fan base, let's take the day in the chin. By all means, we can have our rants and raves in 3 games' time if we're still seeing the same thing. It's game 1 after a hard European game. Let's try to be a little bit more balanced because that's what we try to bring you here at the Journal.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think you need to look at the whole thing in perspective. That was never going to be fixed in one window. With the players we're bringing in, you can't expect all these players to gel and just hit the ground running. That's the ideal scenario. That's what everybody wants. But that's something you just didn't get it that way. They need to work at it. There needs to be a cohesion there. There needs to be a gel. There needs to be a camaraderie there with these new guys come together, and you could see some of that in the preseason videos and the training because they look to be enjoying themselves, and that's what you want to see. And there was an intensity there. I just think that intensity was just lacking. The 49ers come in and are throwing money at this team, and we're trying to get in the right players. Now, granted, we've not got everybody we wanted at the start of the season because there's players have went elsewhere. It's just one of those things. That's football, but we're still working at it. We're still trying to bring players in. The window's still got plenty of time. We're going to lose players. We're going to lose big players probably as the window goes on because that's just the way football works. I'm hoping we keep Raskin for another year. But as the window goes on longer, I think we might lose him. But that gives opportunity for somebody else. I get folk in the comments are raging. 100%, I get it. But as it is, it's a work in progress. It's a transitional moment for a brand new manager with a brand new setup in the background, a whole new footballing structure in the background that this board's implemented. I know I'm defending, but it is what it is. It's facts. The simple thing is, it's facts, Mitch. Am I talking sense or am I talking guff?
Talking absolute sense, mate. But before you and I get cancelled, We're on 35 minutes post match, and I don't know about you. I'm ready to put the duster away for the night.
Yeah, it's one each. We didn't get beat. Some
We
positives
didn't
first
win.
half. We didn't win. There's frustration there. I understand it. But before we go, I'll give a shout out to our match sponsor, which is Off to the Match I Go. If you just head over to the website across the bottom there and use the code Journal10 at the checkout, you'll get 10% off. Mitch, thanks for coming on and trying polishing
Always a
that
pleasure,
performance.
mate. I wouldn't leave you to fight the fight on your own, mate.
Like I say, there's plenty more to come. The season's only started. There's more faces going to come in, and we'll just leave it there. It wasn't the worst day at the office, but it could have been better. Just remember, folks, every night's the Rangers Journal night.